So I'll start by introducing myself. Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm the founder of Focal Point and one of your teachers of the class. So I guess it makes sense to describe what the difference between teacher and mentor is, because you're going to interact with both. You may end up interacting with the mentors more regularly because there's more of them. So it's good to know who they are and who the teachers are. So just quickly, the teachers are myself and Sean and David. So Sean and I were the teachers solely last year, and David kind of joined in towards the end of the year. So he's going to be coming in from the beginning for the first time this year, which is really exciting. He's a wealth of knowledge on lighting and stage portraiture, and he actually is also, he does horse photography. So if that's something you're interested in, he's a good resource for that. And then Sean is the other teacher from the get-go from last year. He's in Australia, so it's hard for him to come to these meetings. He's in Perth, and he is the guy you want to talk to about astro and landscape. He's very, very talented and skilled and knowledgeable about all of that. And then there's me. I'm Chelsea. I founded Focal Point. I guess it became Focal Point just in the last few years, but the project has been going since, I want to say 2019 is kind of when it started off. It started with my 52 weeks project, which was just kind of a personal project to get myself motivated. And I had some people joining in on Instagram, and then that kind of grew to a bigger community and a more organized project. It was very disorganized the first year. And now we're in, I want to say we're going into the 7th year of the 52 weeks project and the 2nd year of running the photo class. So it's all very exciting. I'm really excited about some of the changes that we made for this year. Last year was our first year taking it over from the Reddit photo class, kind of continuing that journey. We did change quite a bit in the actual lesson planning and the writing and the organization of it, including the Discord and having it on a website as well, as opposed to just being in the subreddit. So there were already some changes that had happened, but this year there's going to be even more. So we're going to talk a little bit about those. I'm going to answer any questions that you have, any thoughts that you have that you just want to talk to other people, other participants or mentors. Anything like that. This is a pretty free and open time. So again, I'm Chelsea. I'm one of your teachers. Now, the mentors. Let's talk about who the mentors are. So our mentors are volunteers just like the rest of us, and they're really here to kind of support you throughout the learning process. So they're going to be able to give you feedback and answer questions as you have them. They're not like directly involved in the writing, but they give feedback on the writing of the lessons as well. So they are very important to the whole process, and you're going to start to recognize their names really quickly. You'll know that they're mentors because their names will be in red. And then the other teachers, our names are in yellow. So that's an easy way to tell if it's a mentor who you're talking with. If you have questions specifically that you want to ask mentors, there is a Ask Mentor channel under the photo class section. So you can pop in any question there and one of them will see and respond, or one of the teachers as well. We're also checking those. You can also use the @ tags, so @ photo class mentor, or are you guys just @ mentor? I think it's just @ mentor. No, it's @ class mentor, and then we also have, I believe it's @ photo class teacher. Yeah, so if you want to talk to a teacher or a mentor, you can @ us as well, and we'll see those. So I see 2 mentors in here right now. I think there might be more if I'm missing you. I know Walter's super anxious to get to talk to everybody. So, Walter, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, very quickly. I'm Walter. I'm Italian. I mainly do street and travel photography, and I have recently started trying to do some portraits over my during my last trip in Africa. I just came back, and I'm in this very moment, I'm editing photos from the trip and cursing under my breath because of all the failed shots. If you need help with those styles of photography, like street travel and so on, I can help with the basics, and of course, anything related to the class, I can probably clarify or help you along. Um, if you need me, you can just message me privately if you want, and it's fine. Whenever you want, I usually check the community at least once per day, so I will answer quickly enough. Is that enough, Chelsea? I
That
think.
was beautiful,
Did I
Walter.
cover? Okay, did I cover everything? Yes.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, so Walter participated in the class last year, and he was
Yeah.
a great resource in our voice chats. He was always there for feedback sessions and was really great at both giving and receiving feedback. So if you have concerns about sharing and being vulnerable to sharing, I think Walter can agree that the community is very supportive and really allows you to show whatever quality of work that you're showing, and however proud or not proud you are of it, that we're here to be supportive. So thank you, Walter.
No.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you're the only mentor here right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that might be true. Am I missing someone? I'm trying to look at the list, but
It's weird that
yeah.
Anne isn't around.
Yeah, I think
She's
Anne has
always
a
here.
big work thing tomorrow morning.
Right.
Yeah, I think she has a big
Okay.
work meeting tomorrow morning. So she's also here quite a bit. So if you see Anne floating around, she's another person who did the class last year and was very involved. Another great resource. So I think it's
Jake.
important. Yeah, go ahead, Walter.
No, sorry. Jake was online earlier, but maybe
Yeah.
he didn't make it either. Okay, I'll shut
Yeah,
up
I don't
now.
see Jake either or Vincent. So we do have, there's about 10 mentors that you'll see popping in. Some you'll see more than others, just like anything. Again, it's a volunteer position, so we're not like requiring hours of them. So yeah, so you'll see them, and we're all here to answer questions. So why don't we start by just, if it's okay with everyone, just kind of going over what the class structure will look like. I know quite a few of you have already done the unit 0, so this is probably going to be old news to you. But let's just go through it really quickly, and then we'll get to any questions, or if you have questions while I'm going through this, just interrupt me, totally okay, or pop it in the chat. Both are fine. So I'm just going to share my screen, and we're going to just kind of look at just the course as it is right now. Hold on, I have to move it. I'm so bad at this. I have to move the window under my Discord. It's on a different desktop. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So this is the class. If you haven't been here already, it's just the focalpointhub.com/photoclass-2025. And this is where you're always going to find the class. You can find the class also on the subreddit. There's a little asterisk there insofar as there will be interactive elements, not in every lesson, but in quite a few. And those are not postable on Reddit. I can't embed them. I can link them out, but it won't be as like a smooth process of going down and there's the interactive element and continuing. You'll have to like link out. So just be aware of that if you are somebody who is planning on looking at the subreddit exclusively. So basically you'll see the whole course here. You'll see each unit. We'll just kind of go through these really quickly just to scan over them. I know, again, most of you have already done this. So this is just an introduction, where to be, how to be there. You guys are here, so you already know this. And then we have our syllabus. So I wanted to go over the syllabus a little bit to clarify these things like the feedback week, and how those will actually work. So new lessons will be every other week. Historically, it's been every week a new lesson drops. But one of the things and one of the feedback that we found from last year is that it's a little slow to get started, because the first chunk is just like an introduction, and then the second chunk is just the gear. And a lot of people already know the gear, or they're not interested in it, or they want to just start getting into the creative stuff or whatever. So we found that maybe a positive solution would be to, instead of dropping one lesson at a time, we're going to put out a whole unit. So some units will be multiple lessons. Like you can see here under the gear, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different lessons in there. Now, when we decided to make that change, we also realized that that doesn't give people a lot of time to A, go through the lessons, and B, do any assignments. So we thought that a good solution for that would be to space them out. So now you're getting one unit every other week. To keep you working and thinking, if you are one of those like go-getters who does everything like the day it drops, you'd probably be like, well, now what? I have 2 weeks before something new comes. So we're going to be introducing these feedback weeks. Now, part of this is to keep you guys accountable, but it's also to keep myself and the other teachers and such accountable as well, so that we're here for you on a consistent basis. So every other week, we're going to have a feedback week. What that means is that we will have live chats. We're going to try to have multiple in a week to kind of get people in different time zones. Like right now I'm in the UK. So for me, like this time it's 9 o'clock at night for me, which is fine, but maybe it's really early in the morning for you. Maybe it's midday, so maybe these times don't always work. So right now you're going to see the first feedback week already set up for the second Wednesday, which is January 8th, and it's at like 9 o'clock my time. Now, I understand that a middle of the week, in the middle of the day for a lot of you doesn't work. So we're trying to get some other times set up as well. They might not be as consistent. That Wednesday one will always be consistent, and then there will be other ones to kind of catch people who can't make that one. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye on the events tab in Discord. So we'll have the live chats. This is a good time for you to work on the assignment, make revisions if you feel like, oh, you know what, I want to try that again. You can do that. You can submit as many as you want, for one assignment. Like if you go out and you make a photo and then you get some feedback like, hey, why don't you try this? You have a whole week to go and try it again and say, okay, so I took this feedback. Now, what do you guys think? That's completely fine and encouraged as well. We're ultimately trying to give you enough time and enough support to actually get full value out of each of the units. Does anyone have any questions about like the feedback weeks and how that works? If you're typing in the Discord. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll go on. So here's what the units look like. The first unit will be an introduction unit. There's actually 3 lessons in here. This is broken up into 2 different lessons. In the lessons, you're going to have text like you've seen. You're also going to have a video. There's at least 1 video per unit. There probably will be more than that as we go on. Like I think for this one, we're going to end up having 3 videos. 1, 2, 3. We're producing them now, so not sure exactly how it's going to land, but that's what we have scripted. And then each one ends with an assignment. And the assignment could be a multi-part assignment, as you've seen, like this previous assignment in the pre-class. It's a 2-parter, right? The introduction, I'm going to tell you, is a 2-parter as well. And you are going to be out making a new photo for this. One question that we see a lot is, well, can we just use an old photo? I mean, the main point here is to be thinking about the assignments and making a photo with that in mind. So we're going to encourage you to make a new photo for each assignment. I understand that everyone has jobs and school and life and family and friends and all of that. So there might be weeks where you're not able to get it in time. That's totally fine. Do not stress about it. You're not being graded. There's no college credit. This is ultimately about you and your progression. So if you find yourself, like, let's say on week 3, you just can't get everything done, that's okay. Come back to it when you can. You have the 2 weeks. If you still can't do it, it's okay. Go on to the next lesson and then go back and see, okay, can I do assignment 3 before I go into assignment 4, or do I just want to jump into assignment 4? Okay, so keep in mind that the lessons are iterative, meaning they build upon one another. So we do encourage you to try to get the assignments done in time, but life, it happens. So no stress. The other units we have photography basics. This is going to be a little bit about the settings, and then a little bit, it's all about the settings, and then some advanced techniques within those settings. Then we get into the stuff that I love, which is talking about compositional guidelines and color theory. These are things I'm really passionate about. So if you ever want to talk about these, I'm your girl. The gear stuff, maybe less so. I don't know what's new right now. I have no clue. I'm not even sure how old my camera is. So talk to somebody else about the gear, but the composition and the color, I'm here for you. Then we're going to go into post-processing. Now, we put this quite early for a good reason. We want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and that you're making good decisions early as far as your workflow and, backing up and all of that. We want to make sure that by the time you get to, week 9, when you're looking at personal projects, that your stuff is organized enough for yourself. So we're hitting that a little bit early. One question we see about post-processing is, well, do I need to have Lightroom or do I need to have Capture One? No. We are doing this in a very holistic way. So there will be, video from a specific software. I personally use Lightroom Classic most, but I have other ones as well. They're not on my dock right now, but I have other ones as well. So the idea behind the post-processing is just giving you the tools that you can then translate into whatever software you are using. Even if you're editing on your phone and you're, taking photos on your phone and you're using the built-in editing tools on your phone, it should all translate more or less. Okay, so after post-processing, we're going into the decision process. This is going to be more about training your eye. So we're going to be talking about visual narrative, how to tell a story in an image, how to tell a story in a triptych, like 3 pictures, or even a full photo essay. We're going to look at some of the masters. Now, something to keep in mind here, we're going to be looking at both photography masters and other media. So traditional painting, video, movies, music. So studying the masters doesn't necessarily mean we're just going to be looking at whatever photographers are really popular right now, or even historically. We're going to be looking at this from an art history perspective. Okay, and then we're going to move on to inspiration. So we will touch on inspiration in Unit 1, but it's a very broad overtake. In this unit, we really, really get into it because you're going to start thinking about doing your own projects. And the best way to start thinking about them is to think about how you are inspired and what inspires you. So we're going to talk about that in a deeper level, as well as giving and receiving feedback at a deeper level, because using those tools will help you to just go from a plateau to the next plateau, really, but it will help you to continue progressing. Then we're going to get into some more technical stuff with the camera, some metering modes, some flash and accessories. These will all be helpful. Even if you're not interested in off-camera flash or anything, just learning the theory of it will be helpful as far as manipulating light. We will talk about manipulating natural light earlier on in Unit 4. But here we're going to kind of talk about, off-camera flash much more and off-camera lighting. Then we're going to start working into our personal projects. You are not expected to have a personal project finished at the end of this 6 months because that's absurd. No one's going to be done with something like this in such a short time frame. But the goal is to get you thinking about it and maybe by the end having a plan, or maybe even a short storyboard, or even one photo already done. So that's going to be the idea. So we're going to talk about how you can plan these. If you're a project manager, this is going to be really familiar to you. We're going to talk about how to brainstorm, how to set up everything that you're going to be doing, and then how to actually start it. Then we're going to get in deeper with lighting, composition, and color again. And that says assignment 111. That's obviously a typo, so it's only assignment 11. Okay, and then we're going to try some new stuff. You know, we often get stuck in our own genres or our own interests, and when we do that, we can hit a wall pretty quickly, or you end up in like a feedback loop or a bubble. So we're going to try expanding our horizons a little bit and exploring different genres, maybe some that you're not even aware of, or ones you are aware of and you find that you actually like. And then we'll be in June, and in June we're going to come together. We're going to start our conclusion, starting to figure out, okay, it sounds like it's the end because it's called conclusion, but it's really about what your next steps will be, which it can be your final project, or if you have something else pulling you that you're working on, we're going to just kind of talk about how you can move on from this. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, lovely. So that's our syllabus. And then, you know, this is the FAQ from last week. It's pretty meta that it's there. And then here are our teachers. So there's me, and that's Sean. He's the one that's in Australia. That's an astrophotographer. And then David is an equine photographer as well as a portrait photographer. Very good with off-camera lighting. Sean has more knowledge about ISO than any human I've ever met. He actually is in a doctorate program where this kind of thing is actually relevant. I cannot explain what Sean does. It's something to do with lasers, honestly. But he is a genius with that kind of thing, with the technical side of light and sensors and engineering of the sensors and so forth. So if you have any really advanced questions about that, Sean's your guy. Okay. I'm also going to have a list of all the mentors. Right now, we're kind of shifting some mentors around. Some are not coming back this year. We have some new ones. So I'm going to be updating the website with all of their information as well. Okay, so that's where we are now. We're at assignment 1. I've seen most of you have been putting that stuff in. So let's take a moment now to go over any questions before we talk about anything else. So I see Kim has a question. What kind of goals have folks had in previous photo classes? This is a really good question. We've had people who want to make a zine, which I thought was pretty cool. So they wanted to put together a zine of all their work at the end of the year. We've had people who really just want one good photo of their family with their children. So that's what they're kind of focusing on. We've had some people who literally want to build a business, so they're trying to build a portfolio that they can then use to market themselves and to start getting clients. Other projects are photo books is a pretty common one. Somebody said specifically that they wanted to just have one photo that they were proud of to put on the wall. So honestly, the goals can go from simply I want to be proud of one photo I've made to I want to be a professional photographer and everything in between. Anyone that did the class last year, which maybe is just Walter right now, or, we have a couple people here who do the 52 weeks project. Does anyone who have done the 52 weeks, which also has goals, or the photo class want to share what goal they had in a previous year?
Well, mine was to just elevate the average quality of my shots, and so I asked lots of questions. I posted many photos and asked questions about them. Sometimes I went specifically for a part of the photo that didn't work, what do you think of this composition, or what time should I have taken this landscape shot? And so I tried to get a specific advice on certain situations, and over the year it made quite a difference. I think I've come back from the last trip with many more good shots than I have taken in May in Morocco.
I'm crazy impressed by some of the stuff you've been coming back with recently.
Thank you.
I mean, some of your photos from Morocco were astonishing as well. I mean, you've been doing quality work for a while, and but these pictures from Ethiopia are beautiful.
Yeah, I'm pulling them out one by one, and it's a bit like pulling teeth, but
Yeah.
they're coming along.
We have a whole section on culling. It's so daunting. It's so
Yeah.
much work. Yeah. Anyone else who has done the 52 weeks or the photo class? Not to put anyone on the spot. Okay. Does that answer your question, Kim? Does that help? If not, just let me know and we'll kind of go into deeper. Okay, great. So would it be too ambitious or unrealistic to do the class and the 52 weeks as a first timer? Simple answer, no. They're completely different animals, but at the same time, they do kind of often support each other. So for example, December for the 52 weeks almost always, I'm going to say it always, starts with setting goals, just like you've already been doing in Unit 0 and will be doing in Unit 1. And then there is so I write the 52 weeks and I do it one year I did plan out the whole year, and I found that I kind of would write myself into like a corner. So I started kind of going back to being a little bit more flexible with it. Like I have the ideas there, but they're not set up until that month starts. And part of the reason I do that is because sometimes I'll find, like with the class or with just conversations that are happening here in the Discord, that there might be an idea that would be supported in the 52 weeks. So the thing with 52 weeks is it's like a completely personal project, and it's incredibly open-ended. It's very broad. You're going to get a broad prompt, a broad topic for the month with 4 broad prompts under it. So you can look at it and it might actually inspire you for one of your assignment photos, because the prompt might in some way make something click. So I would say no. I would say focus on like one as your main one. Like if you're really all in on the photo class, like go all in on the photo class and check the 52 weeks and see if it's something that would inspire you in any way. Awesome. Great. Yeah, small goals are great. We're going to, it's important too. Like if you are starting now and you have no like broad goals, set like a micro goal or a small goal for you, and we're going to check back in on them in the middle. So you might find that your goal has completely changed. You might find that it's shifted slightly. You might find that you've found something that you want to zero in on in there. So don't feel like if you say, it's not like a New Year's resolution where I say it, I either do it or I don't. Your goal can change. Your goal can shift, and it can mature with you, or you can just like kick it out and kick it to the curb. It's really just to get you thinking about why you're doing this. Any other questions? And you go ahead and if you feel like it, if you'd rather turn on your mic, you can. If you want to just chat in the box, that's okay too. In the meanwhile, while you guys are thinking of questions, I can kind of show you, I did like a little demo in the last one of what some of the interactive elements look like. So I can put those in and we can go through those as well. And then we can also talk about the 52 weeks a little bit if you have questions about that. I see Peter's typing, so let's give him a moment and I can pull up. So just so you can see, for an example of what like an interactive element would look like, I'll show you this. And there will be, so I'll just preface this by saying this one is huge. This is like a full mini course. They're not all going to be like this. Some will be just like a little quick interaction to support whatever text or video is above there. But just so you can kind of see what it looks like. I'll just go through quickly. I'm just going to turn off the audio because there's quite a bit of audio in it. That was like a requirement. So just so you can see, it's like interactive little bits that you literally have to kind of touch and do. Like, for example, if you try to just skip over this, you can't. So you're going to learn a little bit about the rule of thirds, what that means. I know a lot of you are already aware of the rule of thirds. So like I said, this one is just kind of an example. Okay, so this is about framing. How can you find framing? Where are the bits that frame this? And I do have it set up that you have to go through this, so I'm kind of just rushing through it here. Here are the leading lines. Here you go, like that. So just rule of odds. Now this one does have audio that you would have to kind of listen to that explains what these things are a little bit more. And it also has a little bit about some famous photographers, notable photographers, where you're going to be asked to kind of think about what you see in this photo and then compare it to a more in-depth analysis. What did you see that they didn't? What did they see that you didn't? I say they, I wrote this, but what did you see that I didn't see, and so on. So that's what this section would look like. And then there's going to be, there will be more often, once we get through this, I just want to show you, there will be more often these little interactions that are almost like quizzes. So for example, in this one, you're asked to literally build the scene here. You're asked to put together the scene as you think it should go, or how you think it would look good. And then you can check it against the real final photo. What do you like about this one, what you did versus what the original was like? And then you get a little info on why that is set up the way it is. Why does that work? Like that. Or even like a little extra bit about something else related to it. Okay, so this is just an example. And this is available for you guys to try out. If you look in the lounge, somebody asked about it earlier today, and there's a link to it, so you can try this out if you want. This is a little bit ahead of the game here. So, you know, you might not, it's a little bit ahead of where we're going, but there will be like little quizzes like this where it's going to ask you things like this. Okay. And these are more what you're going to see. Okay. So that's just an example. I'll leave it at that. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. I see some thoughts in here. Do we get a virtual plaque when we're done? Sure. Why not? I'll make you guys a certificate that you can download. Absolutely. So, as a parent, I'm quite keen on keeping photos of my children off the internet. Yes, good. This is a question that other people have had in the past as well. How to deal with this? So, yes, this is a really good question. I also don't like to put pictures of my child on the internet. So Anne is a really good person to talk to about this, because her project last year was all about sharing her family and doing family photos without showing her children's faces. So she would do like various angles, and like she had this one picture that was quite interesting where she was standing in a door frame and her children were like in the other room and facing away from the camera, but there were like reflections of them, and one of them just had their hand in the frame playing with a toy. So it was like the idea of her children being there without seeing their faces. Another, though, if you do want to kind of get feedback on your children's photos like that do have their face, if you want like to get feedback on like a specific one of her, you can always, private message one of the mentors or myself, and we can do that like offline, or like in a private space. But it is an interesting challenge. I had a similar project when my son was first born that I called like Safe for Social Media or something, where I wanted to share pictures of him without you ever seeing his face. And it was fun to like try to find new angles and new ways to showcase him and his personality without ever seeing his face. Does that answer your question, Peter? Or I'm not sure if that was a tangent or helpful. Okay, great. It's definitely going to be a journey, 100%. But like I said, Anne, one of our mentors, would be a great person to talk about this with, because she did exactly that last year, was her whole goal and her whole motivation. Okay, so Jimmy just wanted to say that it's been very helpful and motivating. Oh, that's great, Jimmy. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you to everyone who's working on it. We're very excited that you guys are here and excited. Your enthusiasm helps keep our enthusiasm up, so we really appreciate it. Does anyone else have any questions? I did not mention the journal. Yes, let me mention the journal. Thank you, Dave. Let me grab it. Hold that thought. All right, so Dave reminded me to share the journal with you guys. So the learning journal, this is something that we introduced last year. So basically within the learning journal, you guys can get a look here. You have information about the class, and then each unit has its own section where you're going to find space to write, like in the getting started, you know what that looks like, right? So for instance, it says here your goals. So what are your goals? What do you hope to achieve? What are you confident in your ability to do already? This is where you would put a photo that you're proud of. And then why you chose it and what you might do differently. So that's an example of what you would find in here. And then at the end of every unit, there's a space just for you to put in notes. But every lesson has its own little section here with specific questions related to that unit. So for example, in the inspiration section, one of the questions is, how can I marry my other passions with photography? What is a piece of feedback I received that resonated with me? And these are just all reflection questions to get you guys thinking about literally what you're doing every week. It's nice to have the physical book, I will say. They're available for sale. I will asterisk that with the cost of them is as low as the printer will let me, so it's not like a for-profit thing. And there are some coupon codes available. I think the one that I shared earlier wasn't working anymore, but the printer is called Lulu, L-U-L-U. And if you Google Lulu coupon code, I think some people have found other coupon codes that have worked. If you don't want to buy a physical journal, but you want the prompts, you can get a PDF version. It's in Unit 0 in the Getting Started section. You're going to find a link to it. It's just a Google Drive link, so you can just download the PDF version as well. Obviously, that doesn't cost a thing, so that's up to you. I'm quite proud of this year's. I spent a lot of time on it. I think it both is aesthetically nice and also has some really good prompts in there. So it's definitely something to keep in mind as a companion. It really helps whenever you're learning something new. It really helps to reflect on why you're doing it each time and what you've learned and what maybe you want to continue learning. So I highly recommend, if not using this, getting yourself a notebook and keeping your own thoughts down somewhere. Did anyone get this? Did anyone get the learning journal just out of curiosity? Hands raised or something? Not yet. Okay. Well, it's worth it, Dave. I think you ordered one. Great. Thank you, Kenny. I think you'll enjoy it. Yes, look at all this. Christmas presents. Love it. Not yet arrived. Okay. They do take a little bit of time, and you printed it. Good. So you found that the printing worked fine. You were able to get the PDF. Great. You can download it and use your own journal. That's great. All of this is great. This is really just wonderful to hear everybody's engaged this much. I honestly, I'm so excited about this year because you guys seem really, really excited and enthusiastic. The printing worked fine. Great. Really enthusiastic, and that really helps us to make sure that we're doing what we want to do and the best we can. Several people are typing. All right, I'm going to be patient and let you guys type. Downloaded, printing. Great. Great, great. Good. I'm glad everybody has access to it. Okay, yeah, I thought so, Dave. Yeah, well, good. I mean, you're welcome back. So we're happy to have you back. So Dave says he dropped out mid-year, and I think that's, honestly, Dave, you weren't alone in that. That's part of the reason we changed the whole organization to be the 6 months and the every other week. Because one thing I will say is that it's very easy if you miss a week or you get sidetracked or you just swamped with work and life and family to kind of just give up. But I would encourage you to, even if you get behind, to come back and just jump back in, especially because we have this truncated time now. I think it will be a lot easier to stay engaged in it. And again, though, if you do get out and you do for whatever reason you're not able to kind of continue throughout, come back, engage with the community, go at your own pace, or we're going to be starting it up again in the summer. So, it's always here for you. It's always available. Street photography and taking pictures of strangers, it can be challenging to strike the right balance of doing it with confidence and being respectful. There's lots of thoughts online, but interested to hear any thoughts or advice. It's something I want to get better at. Oof, this is a big can of worms, Jimmy. I am a street photographer myself. I completely understand. My general thought is there is an importance between legality and morality. And I think a lot of times people forget the morality and they focus too strongly on the legality. So you'll often in online spaces hear people say, well, if you're on the street, you have no... I forget the phrase we use right now.
Expectation of privacy.
Expectation of privacy. Thank you, Walter. And while that is legally true in some countries, not all of them, mind you, it's important to remember that those are humans and you don't know what their day, life, hour looks like. So striking that balance is incredibly difficult. My personal metric is, am I respecting the human? Am I not bringing harm by doing what I'm doing? Am I making sure not to take advantage of any vulnerable persons for whatever reason? Is my intent selfish, or is it something that is, I'm actually trying to do good and make good art and help people versus, car-centric city in the Western U.S. Yeah, the streets that's a different animal, isn't it? Jimmy, hold that thought, because we had a 2-parter podcast all about this. And please ignore my YouTube history. My 4-year-old uses my YouTube, as you can see. But we had a 2-parter podcast all about this, and it was honestly my favorite.
Episode 8.
Ignore that. It's my favorite to record. We had another photographer called Aaron with us, and he's another street photographer. He does other stuff as well. But we had a really good conversation about this. So if it's something that you're actually interested in, these are obviously long. These are both an hour long, but we get into it, so maybe worth checking out. Let's see. The journal has spaces for you to include your own photos, but shock horror, for those who don't have a printer, is it fundamentally integral? What a really well-written version of that question. No, it's not. And this is something that I kind of talked about in the last one, is it's more for you to see, I made that when I was doing, and then you can kind of go back. So obviously no one has printers anymore. I haven't, I think, touched a printer in like 15 years, but you could always, like, at the end, send out, or whatever local printer you have or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything like nice even. It's really just for your own reference. If you're using the PDF version, obviously you can copy paste your picture into those. But I would recommend maybe at the end just printing out all the photos that you made for the assignments, even just like cheaply, and putting them in there for yourself, because that way you can kind of see your own progression. But it is not obviously integral. You can use the journal without the photos, for sure. Yeah, exactly. So you can go back and put them in at the end, absolutely. Or you can, like, bother that friend of yours that still has a printer. Everybody has one of those. It's like the modern version of, do you have a truck to help me move? Do you have a printer? You need to print something. So, worth thinking about, though. It's a nice way to kind of see your own progression. All right. Borrow a cup of ink. Good. Does anyone else have any questions? What about any thoughts or concerns, or how are you feeling? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling anxious? Concerned about sharing your own work? Yeah, get it done in time. Yeah, get it done this time. Yeah. I think, honestly, Dave, I think the changes that we made this year to the structure is going to really support that. So let me know, regardless, because you did last year and this year. Even if you don't get it done this time, let me know, because it's good to get that kind of, to gauge that so that we can adjust where we need to. Excited and eager. Hopefully you can stick with it. Yes. The structure should be helpful. Yeah. I'm excited and eager myself. I think this seems like a really excited and happy cohort. And I think one thing that I'm very proud of is that this community was built from literally nothing. And it's probably the most positive, supportive, any kind of hobby community I've ever seen, and it's very humbling, and it's something I'm very proud of, because I think everybody here understands that we're here to help each other and to be supportive of one another, and it's not a competitive space. It's not it's a very positive space. So if you're anxious about sharing your work with randos, know that these are the best randos that you can share your work with, because most of them are in the same boat as you, and then those who maybe aren't in the same boat are here to support your boat. Can I really torture that metaphor? They're your oars? No? Okay. No, thank you, Dave. Thank you. No. Reciprocal enthusiasm. Love it. Love it. Love it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I want to touch upon while I have you guys. Otherwise, tips for maintaining inspiration. Good question, Jillian. Yes, that's hard. I think the best thing to do it's going to sound really maybe trite and maybe almost meaningless, but honestly, be open to inspiration coming for wherever. Even you see a street sign in a cool color, maybe that sparks something. Maybe you hear somebody say something, it can come from anywhere. And when we do the inspiration week, we're really going to try to push you to try to find inspiration in different places, because I think we end up in our own little bubbles where we're like, I'm doing photography, I need to think about photography. But that's not really the case. You can pull inspiration from literally any other media, or even just the day-to-day. So be open to it. Get a little journal, one of those tiny little journals that Moleskine makes and others, and put it in your purse or your bag or your pocket, or even just use the notes app on your phone. And anytime something kind of is interesting to you, jot it down. Take pictures, not proper if you see something interesting, just snap a quick picture of it so you can reference it. Reference photos are huge. Building even a mood board is a great way as well. It sounds silly, but Pinterest is really good for this. Finding things that inspire you and just collecting them together. If you don't want to sign up for something like Pinterest, you can make a folder on your desktop or have a folder in your phone, and just pulling those things down. Looking towards other people as well, leaning on each other. You guys have each other, and then any friends or family that that do any kind of art or work are good people to look to. Just have conversations about art, have conversations about aesthetics and design, and that will also spark things. I love doing collabs with other media. That's great. Yeah, working with artists from other media is an amazing way to find new angles and new ideas that maybe you didn't think of. Is my thing oh, that's funny. Okay, we're gonna just turn that off. Okay. I find musicians are really fun to work with because their minds work completely different, but they're also they're very aesthetically minded, but they're also kind of mathematical in a way. So they kind of spark something different as opposed to like visual artists who often have like a very similar lens. So listening to different music, depending on what you're doing, if you're going out to do street photography, maybe you want to get like really energetic music, or if you're trying to do like a kind of bam sad floor kind of shot, you can listen to like more emo music or morose music. So music is a big one as well. All right, any other questions? The technical aspect of photography, the know-how of it all scares me. That's fair. Hoping to chip away a bit with this. Okay, so that's a really good point, Kim. The technical stuff, the way that this class is structured is that we're trying to get you to understand the technical stuff enough so that you can go and make the photos that you want to make. This is a beginner level situation, so the technical stuff is not going to get into the super deep parts. You can have those conversations in the Discord. The class won't get into the super deep stuff because our goal is to just be able to, for you to feel comfortable working with whatever gear you're working with, and understanding enough of the technical stuff to make what you're thinking about in your mind. So if you think of it that way, just remember that your camera is your tool, right? So it's intimidating. All the tech stuff is intimidating, but a lot of people don't need to know all the tech stuff. They just need to know what they need to know. So that's what we're trying to hit. We're trying to hit the stuff that you need to know in order to make the photos that you want to make, and give you the base knowledge that you can then explore the deeper stuff, and you can move on from that if it's something that you're interested in. Auto mode. There's no problems with auto mode. We're going to talk about that for sure. Sometimes auto mode is the way to go. All right, if anyone has any final questions, let's pop them in the chat or turn on your mics. And then, or any final thoughts or anything like that. Side note, it's much faster to turn off your mic and talk than type. Just kidding. Just giving you guys a hard time. Very excited. Me too, Jillian. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, the animals and the children. Shutter speed priority is a big help with that for sure. Auto mode. Yeah, let's do this. Great. I'm seeing so much enthusiasm. Somebody asked in the last meeting, okay, so we're super excited right now, but it's only December 12th or whatever day it was. We're still 2 weeks out from this starting, more than 2 weeks out from this starting. If my math is right, I don't know, whatever. So how do we keep that engagement and how do we keep that excitement up between now and January 1st when the first course releases or posts? Be engaged on the group. Share photos that you already have. Talk about what you're doing. Start meeting the other people. Start having conversations. Like, obviously, post your own introduction if you haven't, but read through the other ones. Maybe somebody's in your city and you guys can like go out on photo walks or go into, the showcase channel where people just post their photos. Post your own. Comment on ones that are there. Building the community within the community is going to keep you guys engaged and motivated, and it's going to keep, honestly, all of us who volunteer feeling like motivated as well. Because if you guys are engaged, we want to be here to support you, and we want to help. So the more engagement from everyone, the better, and just keep those conversations going. If you haven't said a word in the Discord yet and you're like a little intimidated, I know I'm like that. Don't be afraid. Just jump in, even if it's just to like say, hey man, I love your photo, or if somebody's talking about something that maybe you have a little bit of knowledge on, or even if it's not like an expert, it's okay. Like, everybody's opinions and everybody's eye and everybody's knowledge is what makes this so successful, because we're all coming from all over the world. We're all different ages, different stages in life, different interests, different types of photography, and all of that works together to really kind of build something very beautiful. So that's super corny, but I completely agree. It is like learning a language. Yeah. You start with the fundamentals, it gets boring, you drop out. That's part of the reason that we kind of just went big on the units this time. So we want to, it is iterative. We are going to be building, scaffolding up, but we're trying to do it at a rate and with enough interest that if something is boring to you, something that isn't is right around the corner. All right, a couple plus ones, great. Wonderful. All right, well, if nobody has any final questions, I want to just lastly, again, say that I'm really excited. I'm really thankful for everybody's enthusiasm. I'm really excited to see what everybody does. If at any point you have any questions, the mentors are here, I'm here. Don't be afraid to send me, if you want to, if you have a question you don't want to ask publicly, don't be afraid to send me a private message, either here, or you can find me obviously on Instagram and Reddit and all of that stuff. My name is the same on literally everything. It looks like Clundon. It's supposed to be C London, but it says Clundon. So you can find me really easily. If you want to have a private chat, I'm open to that as well. So I am very excited. First lesson is already scheduled. It is already ready to go. It will drop. I love saying that because it sounds like I'm releasing an album. It will drop on January 1st at midnight UK time. So, or maybe it's UTC. I might have it set to UTC, which maybe is the same right now. Is it summer or winter? That's the same. That's not my area of expertise. So it will go at midnight. It is the same at the moment. Okay, so it will go at midnight UTC, January 1st. Ball will drop in New York 5 hours later. So there we go. All right, guys, I am so excited. If you want to stick around and talk to each other, please do. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the chats, and we will see you in the new year and all your photos. So thank you all. And I will say goodbye. Well, I'll let you guys who are typing type, and then I'll say goodbye. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Ooh, fancy. Time for it is actually. Can you hear it in the background? Like, my husband's waiting for me to finish so I can play Fortnite with him. You can see the reflection here. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.
Bye, Chelsea. Bye.
Bye, Walter. Thank you.